It was a sunny day in Jerusalem, and the air was electric with excitement. The city was buzzing with people who had come from all over to celebrate the Jewish holiday of Passover. Among the crowds were Jesus and his 12 disciples, who had been traveling together for months, preaching and teaching about the kingdom of God. As they approached the city, Jesus knew that this was going to be a special day. He instructed 2 of his disciples to go into the nearby village and bring back a donkey that was tied up in a courtyard. The disciples were puzzled, but they did as Jesus asked. When they returned with the donkey, Jesus climbed onto its back and began to make his way into the city. As they approached the city gates, something amazing happened. The crowds of people who had gathered to celebrate Passover began to recognize Jesus, and they started to cheer and shout. They waved palm branches in the air and laid their cloaks on the ground, creating a royal carpet for Jesus to ride on. The disciples were amazed at the reception Jesus was receiving. They had never seen anything like it before. The crowds were shouting, "Hosanna!" which means, "Save us now." They were recognizing Jesus as the long-awaited Messiah, the one who had come to save them from their sins. As Jesus rode into the city, he was overwhelmed with emotion. He knew that this was the beginning of the end of his time on earth. He knew that he would soon be arrested, tried, and crucified. But he also knew that this was all part of God's plan to save humanity from sin. Despite the danger that lay ahead, Jesus was filled with joy and gratitude. He knew that he was exactly where he was meant to be, doing exactly what he had been sent to do. As Jesus rode into the city, the crowds continued to cheer and shout. They threw stones and branches in the air, creating a joyful chaos. The disciples were laughing and crying at the same time, overwhelmed by the emotion of the moment. And Jesus, riding on the back of the donkey, smiled and waved, his eyes shining with tears of joy. He knew that this was his triumphal entry, the moment when he would be recognized as the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. But little did the crowds know, this triumphal entry would soon turn into a tragic exit. Jesus would be betrayed, arrested, and crucified. But even in death, Jesus would triumph over sin and death, and would rise again on the 3rd day, victorious over the forces of evil. The triumphal entry was just the beginning of the greatest story ever told, a story of love, sacrifice, and redemption that would change the course of human history forever.